Universal Concepts, the Human Instruction, the continuation of Problem People, Part 5.
Which basically they want to prolong, confuse, or block your goals. So while you're attempting to do your goals, they want to waste your time to frustrate you, or they want to do other things with your goals that's not related to your goals, which also prolongs it. Or they just want to not let the objective take place, especially by doing the wrong thing, by prolonging, confusing the procedure in order for you to give up, which also helps to block your objective, because they want to frustrate you and they want you to be negative, and therefore they want to control you by not allowing, by withholding something from you, or making it longer, or frustrating the procedure of your everyday life objectives, or a particular objective that you want to do that helps people out, so they would be blocking of a continued society of growing. So a person's construct of your objectives directly affects your goals and your procedures. So if you have a negative construct, one would often create negative procedures. A negative construct will do things in a negative manner, but yet say it was done in a positive manner. But their procedures is prolonged, and so therefore it wasn't efficient and it wasn't done in a positive manner. And sometimes the objective is not achieved, again furthering that it wasn't done in a positive manner, because if it was done in a positive manner, it would have been done quickly, efficiently, and completed. A construct is best revealed over time, because people can often lead you to believe that they are one way but really be something else entirely, especially when one is being observed or not observed. Such as serial killers are many times the guy next door, but behind closed doors being ruthless and diabolical. So they appear to be sweet, but you may find a lot of wicked things that they have done, especially people in higher echelons of life. Note that people can change their construct. People can do and grow from negative to positive, and therefore having a light yoke, become happy and productive individuals. Don't always condemn people to hell if they've done bad in the past, but who they are now and the content of their character and their willingness to be a person of their word, having backing up their words by their actions and their deeds over time, solidifying themselves through choice. So people can change for the better, and then therefore becoming stronger and not dying with a trail of tears, but stopping what they call being reborn again, choosing to go upwards instead of downwards, going from a I am not to a I am. So they can change their construct and their structure, just to say that no one can say what your construct is exactly, because you're constantly changing. But if you had continued to do so even after had knowing the truth, then you had truly solidified yourself into that negative structure and that negative construct, because a positive master is always consistently positive. They are not wishy-washy, and who they are outwardly is the same who they are secretly. And you will know them by their motives, and again by the 14. As you know by now, there are many positives and negatives, and depending on how many positive and negative a person knows or has been conditioned to use, shows how complicated or uncomplicated a person is. There's also to note that this is what creates intelligence. So someone may have been born with some sort of defect that they appear to be slow, but they may be positive, which then boosts their intellectual capacity and their understanding and their intelligence. And someone who appears to be intelligent but is really not intelligent because of their structure. And it will show how complicated or uncomplicated a person is not by their intelligence, by the degree of understanding positives and negatives, which will enable someone to become better, smarter, stronger, or someone who regurgitates the same negatives over and over again without growing, and only having had signs of growth because they're always coveting and stealing from others. Take. But that only works for the people who give. And inevitably, they're going to find themselves from everybody who's take, and then nobody has the energy except the top taker, and then everybody else is just drained and done, and then that person also cannot have positives, so therefore it's the lesser of the two energies. Every time someone speaks, whether verbally or with their body language, they're communicating who they are and what they know. Even if someone is projecting lying beliefs and actions, it is always exposed by the 14, and it helps you to reveal what's going on. Every day you are conditioned what to eat, what not to eat, what to believe, what not to believe, and what religion to go into, and how to identify yourself, how to talk and how not to talk, how to argue, how not to argue, how to dress and how not to dress, colors to wear and what colors not to wear, how long to sleep and how not to sleep. Now all that can be good, but when you're being confused, you're not doing the right procedure, and you're always being consistently inconsistent, therefore not having that true positive consistent line in life. All cultures are based on these positives and negative beliefs, in other words, truth or lies, and these like for like principles of conditioning. This is why also, like again, clothing. In Scotland, some wear kilts, while other cultures have loincloths, like in Africa, or some people wear nothing at all, totally in the nude. Again, that's all conditioned through time, depending on the particular area, and then they go through life, going through like for like, unless they know the human instruction, and they could sort of create their own world, which is beautiful, because if you can imagine a beautiful world, your world is going to be fabulous, as opposed to someone who is only thinking of death and how to take, then your world is going to be hell, while theirs is just going to be barely livable, and they're always miserable because they're not living in the energy that they can be living in, which help them find bliss. So it is not an example of even our nakedness. It's not the nakedness that is wrong within ourselves, but the fact that we perceive our nakedness in such a way that is lustful, as opposed to just looking at it as a pure physical physical being of our inner selves. If you believe that nakedness is wrong because you lust, then it will be wrong because of your motives. But on the other hand, you may believe that nakedness is not wrong because you don't lust, or you're not lusting, because negatives tend to exaggerate the evil, as opposed to a positive who does not. It is not to say because I believe something is negative, therefore it becomes negative. That's absolutely wrong. It is to say that some subjects in life are a greater positive, negative, neutral. It depends. So that's there's three lower and one upper. Our nakedness is it depends subject. Murder, rape, and abuse are a given negative. Beauty is a neutral subject that can go either way. In other words, beauty is the eye of the beholder. But one needs to know the differences of the subjects in order to differentiate the truth from the lies. There was these two sayings. One was saying, there's no such thing that's right or wrong, but a belief that makes it so. At first, in other words, the beliefs are subjective. At first, I looked at that and I was like, something's off-putting about that. So they were saying there's no such thing as right or wrong, but a belief that makes it so. But then when you see it and then you flip it, and you'll be like, oh, it's wrong. It's the opposite that's true. The opposite is there is such a thing as right or wrong, and it is your belief that makes it so. So once you know that truth, you will be able to see that, oh, there is such a thing as right or wrong. Now, the person who lies and says there's no such thing as right or wrong, and say there's no such thing as right or wrong, all right, so I'll slap you. And they'll be like, wait a minute, that was wrong. I said, of course it was wrong, because there is such a thing as right or wrong. Even if you say there isn't, you're going to find out you're making choices that's going to absolutely identify whether you're hypocritical or not, and it'll show whether you believe something right or wrong. Depends if you're hypocritical, or if you're a hypocrite, or if you're a truthful individual. So again, what you're looking at through your eyes of the choice of belief, a mother bathing her child will not see a naked child as bad, or lustful, as opposed to some guy that just as a pedophile would see things absolutely different. And it's all based on their perception and their motive behind that action, which is usually conditioned for them from birth through their own naivete. So a person may choose to become evil because he doesn't know any better. It's just like when you see an adult actually pouting and behaving like a spoiled child, it's because they're continuing that spoiled child behavior and nobody taught that child any better. There's a saying that says when you're a child, you do childish things, but when you become older, you leave those childish things and behaviors. But these people are actually children in adults' bodies because they're ignorant, choosing negatives, because they don't know any better. Nobody's ever taught them. So if we can begin to teach even the people in all aspects of life as to what's going on, then and even the people from the lower echelons of life, where we can learn from below to above and live as above so below, as opposed to being as below as above. So, re-education to all our societies, not because you want something back, but just to educate them so they can make the informed decision, as opposed to conquest or just going there to take from them. Why don't we just give them, and then they learn, and then they can be thankful to us and love us, and therefore we give and share, and now the world can become as one in a positive structure. So these cultures all evolve differently over time due to this knowledge, and it's also underlined in these different religious books, and which creates the conditioning. But a lot of people are just reading literally, as opposed to reading in such a way that they're seeing the fractal within that or the second meaning, depending on how it's written, because a lot of these stories are actually, it's a story within a story. So the literalist is and not reading or understanding in a way a parable is meant to be read, in which the blind is not talking about your eyes but your perception, and it's the code behind the literal writing of the word, and then they also confuse it to confuse the person even further, for those who are wicked and for those who aren't, that they be able to differentiate between what is actually written and what is truly being said. So here it is. We're using these written words that was passed on from generation to generation, as opposed to these verbal stories that was passed on. So some cultures actually pass on knowledge through only verbal stories, and some of them was actually used with writing, and writing is superior. Therefore, some cultures excelled faster due to the fact that they used the writing system, as opposed to those who were only using the passing of knowledge through verbal stories. So they keep a writing account in different subjects, and some cultures are more accurate account of these facts, while others were defeated and destroyed with this knowledge of building more knowledge, therefore keeping people in a state of ignorance. And so that's how they continue to use these negatives. There are billions of people who are walking around all over this planet who do not know who they are and how they got to be who they are and what's going on. There are many of us walking around with serious problems because of these erroneous beliefs. But in the end, we can become whatever we want and do is simply by making a list of positives and negatives and honestly knowing exactly the way things work and working toward being who you want to be by choosing honesty or bravery or peacefulness, believing strong, and that you can achieve what you decide to achieve through your objectives, your procedures, and your scheduling, knowing the pattern of belief and believing and working in that manner. And one that knowingly chooses to be positive, negative, neutral, or it depends. So basically the positive is, well, they're positive. Let's call that 4 positives squared. The neutral is someone who just is either doesn't really care and it depends is the legalistic, and then there's the obviously 4 squared negative. Someone who's always negative wants to work towards that negative. But now you can become what you choose to be, and which also contains your energy and your words, and you can either create more love or more hate, more aggression or more peace, and be unhappy or happy. And it all depends, which is easily swayed by your own projection of yourself, knowing how it works. The logistics is whether it's flawed or unflawed, or so these opposing beliefs, as opposed to one being singular and decisive. There is a neutral who doesn't really believe in anything either way. So on the facts, as opposed to understanding positives, which can leave someone to feeling good, or if you're so there's only one, the one basic person that's on top is the 4 positive, and the 4 negative master is the one that's on the bottom. But the 4 negative master has 2 slaves. That's the neutral or the honest negative, and it depends. So it's these 4 people, one's above, 3 below. That's why so many people are gullible, because 3 are below because they don't know the way things work, and there's only one positive master, but there are many negatives who are either working directly or working without knowing. So the honest negative technically can beat up a 4 negative master, but the 4 negative master is using the deception in order to keep the 4 negative master from being an honest negative, like a grumpy old man, or someone who just doesn't care either way, regardless. And then it depends is someone who's legalistic. So they're always be like, well, it depends on this and this and this, and they get into all these different legalisms, which can be argued about indefinitely, because they don't have the one solid system, as opposed to 4 positive master will go to any one of these people and just be like, well, this is it. bam. And the four negative master is just going to argue for the sake of arguing. Now the other two are the ones that are being duped. And so the honest negative says he doesn't care, but his doesn't care or his apathy is actually helping with the four negative. And it depends is always caught up with the arguing with the four negative master. So therefore the four negative master or the top is evil is always in control, but yet there's the always